Well, hello everybody, back again to do more bread this time. Now this is one of the easiest and most rewarding of all my bread bakes. It's quite a common recipe. It involves cooking in a Dutch oven, which is this thing here. This is the Le Creuset, just a big old iron pot that you can fit the bread in, and we're going to cook it in there. And there is no kneading and there is no oil. So it's a very, very simple recipe. So we zero the scales. And this bread is absolutely fantastic. It looks like proper artisan bread that you'd get at a farmer's market or even a mama's market. And it's very crunchy and crusty and beautiful and very easy to make. So check it out. We're using Wessex Mill French bread flour today because there's a long sort of ferment that goes on. A long ferment, about 3 hours before we do anything with the bread and the dough, but Wessex Mill French bread flour, really lovely. So in we go, 450 is what we're looking at. Whoops. It might seem very pedantic, but to me it means everything to get the numbers right. There you go, that says 450, so that's what we'll do. We will then use 10 grams of salt. I usually use 11 grams of salt for a 500 gram flour loaf, but I'll just knock it back ever so slightly. Now, this is very fine table salt. It's not just normal table salt. It's very, you get a very fine version. This is the very fine version. So you'll find that a teaspoon should come in at 10 grams. See? There we go. Good. Next, very hot water, about as hot as it comes out of the tap. As you can see on the thermometer, this is 40 centigrade. So it's quite hot. Anything over 60 and you'll kill the yeast. So if you can bear to put your finger in it, it's warm enough. But you don't want it any hotter than that. So we'll just zero the scales. And I'm going to use my favourite fresh yeast. And for this I'm going to use 12 grams of fresh yeast, so in that goes.
Did you say how much water there was?
Yeah, the water, actually, sorry about that, the water 250 millilitres or 250 grams. Thank you, camera lady.
Pleasure.
Rosemary gets to eat it all, you see. Well, some of it, but there we go. Lovely, 12 grams of fresh yeast. Right. Get a whisk and just dissolve the yeast into the water, just like when we were doing the bloomer. Just have a quick look. Yep, that looks good. And no oil for this recipe at all. So no oil. Flour, salt, water, yeast. Those are the 4 things. And you're going to get fantastic bread. So we don't really get our hands in on this because it's a very sticky affair. So we shall pour most of the water in and we will stir it on up. Have a look at the consistency. This is known as a shaggy dough, okay? So because there's no kneading or pulling and turning and stretching, because there's none of that going on, it doesn't get its smoothness. There we go. I'm just going to adjust with a little bit more flour. Like I said, all flour is different. Even the same make and the same batch can be different from bag to bag of flour. That's all we're doing, is we're just giving it a good old mix up. I'm going to go for a tiny bit more flour. I think I've got a tiny bit too much water in, to be honest, but don't worry about that. You can always adjust the wetness of the dough by adding a little bit more flour. Okay, that looks good to me. I'm just going to scrape off the spatula. Good. A shaggy old dough. Cling film on. And to be quite honest, you can even use plain flour for this. You don't need a massive high protein content. That's good. A little bit loose, not as drum tight as I would like. Nice. Okay, right, we're going to leave that for 3 hours. And in 3 hours' time, we'll come back and we will continue with the best loaf you will probably ever make. Cool. Okay folks, that's what it will look like after 3 hours of sitting in the bowl. Here we go. Oh, it's almost alcoholic. I think I said that before, but it really is. The aroma coming off of there is simply fantastic. Okay, the next thing we need to do is flour up your work surface, and you need quite a bit of flour for this. Nice even coating. It is a very sticky dough. There's no oil, so I'll just grab a spatula. Cheers. These are quite useful as well, bread scrapers. I have a couple of those lying around. Right. Super sticky dough. I'll just get a knife. Let me get the dough off. Right. Okay. It's amazingly sticky, but it's coming away from the bowl quite nicely. What do you think of the smell coming off of this then?
It smells like beer.
Yeah, amazing. That's what 3 hours does. Okay, let's get that soaking. And there it is. A nice shaggy old dough. Right, bit of flour on top. And we'll just sit there for a sec. I'm going to cut a piece of baking parchment. Whoa, nice. And you'll need a bowl, similar to that, like a pasta bowl or something. And that's where it's going to end up, in here. So it's all pretty easy stuff. Get a bit more flour on top. Okay. And what we want to do is just shape it about a bit. Nothing too dramatic. There you go. Takes about 10 seconds to do, and then we're just going to lift the whole shebang up straight into the bowl like so. Cool. And then a clean tea towel. Straight out of the cupboard. And this is the Bamor Distillery tea towel from the island of Isla. Now, their tea towels are incredibly absorbent, so we bought loads of them. Lefroy is the same as well. Great tea towels. Plop it over there, like so. And just leave it for the amount of time it takes to get your oven up to 220 centigrade. Now, here's the secret. Here's the pot. This is a Le Creuset, a big old cast iron pot, up to 220, and the pot goes in, because we're going to put the bread into a searingly hot pot. So in that goes. It can take up to half an hour to get it up to speed, which is just the right amount of time you need for the dough to develop. I'm going to have a quick clean up, and then we will plop the dough into the pot and give it half an hour with the lid on, and then about another 15-20 minutes with the lid off. But like I say, we will get to that bit when we get to that bit. Okay folks, time for the oven. It's been about half an hour, 40 minutes. A trivet to put the Dutch oven on. Now this thing is ridiculously hot, so always remember. Always remember, take the lid off. It is searingly, searingly hot. Okay, ooh, looking good. There you go. That's all puffed up. I'm going to give it a couple of slashes. I'm going to slash it once this way, quite roughly, once that way, quite roughly. And now we are going to lift it up and simply plop it into the pot, like that. Gloves on, lid on, and straight in for half an hour. What's the time now? Nearly 4 o'clock. We'll come back at 4:30 and we'll open the lid and you will be surprised, I hope. Okay, half an hour has passed. Kung Fu oven gloves. Oof. Okay, right, let's have a look inside. Oh, ho, 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 ho. How about that then? There you go, beautiful, beautiful looking loaf. Don't touch the sides or you will regret it forever. Take it out, plop it back in and back into the oven for about 15 minutes. Don't change the temperature. 15 minutes, in you go. Looking very, very good, I have to say. Can't wait to get into this loaf. Really easy, and like I said, it looks like some artisan fancy bakery type thing. And the taste is wonderful because of the 3-hour ferment, and also French bread flour helps. But yeah, we'll be back in 15 minutes for the big reveal, and that will be the easiest and probably the most satisfying and rewarding loaf you'll ever make, because it's like 0 effort. You just have to sort of be around on a lazy Saturday like we are. See you in 15 minutes. Okay, moment of truth. Oven off. It's been another 15 minutes with the lid off and the parchment out. Oh yes, remember the oven gloves. You'll only ever make that mistake once, I promise you. Right, here we go. Voila. Oh, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful loaf. Oh, look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Really easy, very satisfying. That's the sort of sound you're looking for. Smells incredible. Really easy, very rewarding, and if you saw that on a shelf in a big fancy bakery, you'd almost be compelled to buy it. It looks fantastic, and believe me, after it's cooled down a bit and you slice into it, this could be the way you make bread forever. Well, here it is. It's now cooled down. Sounds good, but we don't really listen to bread, we eat it. So here we go. This is the proof. Oh, listen to that. Ooh, fantastic. Just like a sourdough. Look at that. Look at that. Push it in, it springs straight back. Okay. Oh yeah. If you want to make bread, that's probably the easiest and most satisfying way to make bread I've ever come across. Absolutely beautiful. Good luck making it. I thoroughly recommend you have a go. And oh, wonderful. Next one will be crumpets. Who doesn't like a bit of crumpet? So next one will be crumpets. So see you for the next one. Baking Bad. You know it makes sense.